Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday. Today we have a 7-game slate in the NBA. There are 8 games today, but only 7 are on the main slate, at least for Draftkings. So yeah, we're going to break down this slate. If you're first time here, my name is Sal Vetri. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Saturday. We got a lot of new people on Saturdays. It's our most popular, most viewed videos, so I'd appreciate it. You guys can hit me with a thumbs up, whether you're new here or whether you're returning. I appreciate the returning subscribers. And if you're new here, my name's Sal. I cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, what is right now the NBA today. We're going to cover it. And what is going to be the MLB streets in like 5 days. So I'm totally pumped. It should be a lot of fun today. 7-game slate on the weekend is always fun. Again, lots of people view these videos today, so I greatly appreciate it if I could hit that thumbs up, reach a little bit more people, help me turn this side hustle of mine into a career. I'd greatly appreciate it. So before we get into it, just want to quickly touch on some housekeeping, especially for the people that are new here. If you do like what I'm doing, if you do like the content, you can hop into the Discord. There's a bunch of different things, whether it's the NCAA tournament, it's really hot this weekend, whether it's for college basketball, whether it's NBA, people chatting in there already. They chat till, I don't even know, 3 in the morning. 350 people talking about all different sports, DFS, sports betting. Hop in there. It's totally free. You can just ask questions. I'm in there as well. If you want to talk to me, you can just @Sal, and I'll answer any of your questions. And then if you like player projections or you want to look at player projections for maybe a little bit of a better cost, I have player projections available. Comes out to 30 cents a day, $7.99 for the month for either Draftkings or Fanduel. For the NBA, I'll be having these for the MLB. NBA is a lot more projectable. It's about 50% what goes into my process is looking at median projections and trying to get those right in terms of just projecting minutes, value, and whatever it might be. There's a lot of stats database in there as well, all within this projection sheet. So you get projections as well as a ton of stats every single day that I use. So definitely check that out if you're interested. But for right now, let's hop on into it. Consider subscribing at any point. Hit that thumbs up button right now if you can. So we have the 1-game slate, the showdown slate, Charlotte and Boston, that there's a lot of injuries in. So I'm actually kind of happy that it's not on the main slate because we already have enough value, I would say, and enough injuries early in the day. So I do touch on them in the injury news, but outside of that, it's not going to be in the target offense sheet, not going to be in my players of interest. I don't play showdown. If you're playing showdown, you're straight up gambling. You might as well go to the casino and play a slot machine because showdown slates are that variant. Cody Zeller is going to be doubtful, probably out again, and Michael Gilchrist will probably be out. So if you're playing the showdown slate, Miles Bridges has been just getting loads of minutes. Marvin Williams finally had a good game. Outside of that, not really much I want to touch at the bigs for Charlotte. Let's just jump down, though, to Trevor Ariza, doubtful. We saw Shaq Harrison. Well, not Shaq Harrison. That would be Chicago. Trevor Ariza doubtful. We saw Troy Brown come in, and he played pretty well, right, for the minimum price. Have some interest in him again. Got 22 fantasy points last time out. Again, he's at the minimum price, so look, he more than 7x right there. I would say he hit value for me. In my book, he just hit value, so I use 4x plus 10. So 4x, so 4 times the $3,000 price, so 4 times 3 is 12, plus 10 is 22. So in my book, he just hit value, because if you want to win a tournament or something, guy going for 5x, like a lot of people think 5x is hitting value. I would say it's not, because if you do 5x throughout your whole lineup in the NBA on Draftkings, where it's $50,000, you're going to score 250 points. I don't know if anybody's ever won a tournament. I don't know if anybody's really ever cashed in a tournament on most nights with 250 points. So I would say he just hit it, but regardless, he's still a decent value. Trevor Ariza seems to be trending out. Otto Porter Jr., this is for Chicago, so this is where Shaq Harrison comes in. Shaq Harrison's price is up to $4,100. That's not attractive, especially on a slate where we already have some built-in value at the guard position, which we'll get to. Shaq Harrison, not a very good basketball player. He got the 33 fantasy points, sure, but it took overtime to do it. He would have been below 30, and that's still fine at the price point, but now $4,100. There's a big difference between him being at $3,400 and him being at $4,100 in terms of what he has to do for you. At $4,100, if he carries any ownership, he now has to get you in the 30 range, which I don't feel comfortable. Shaq Harrison, more so than not, will get into the mid to low 20s. Chris Dunn is questionable, so is Zach LaVine, so this whole team's really up in the air. You're going to have to keep an eye on it. I mean, lots of people, Ryan Archie and Akino will come into play if Zach LaVine's out and if Chris Dunn is out. You're going to get more Wayne Selden Jr., Shaq Harrison as well. So keep an eye on all of that. Gordon Hayward, this is for the single-game slate, as well as some other Boston guys, Al Horford and Aaron Baines, all out. So that showdown slate becomes even more variant now. You're going to get Daniel Theis becoming a very interesting play. Marcus Morris potentially getting a ton of 5 minutes. Taj Gibson's questionable. He missed the last game while Dario Saric got some run. Saric had a decent game at his price point, nothing crazy. Luol Deng remains out, and then we already know Jeff Teague, Derrick Rose, all out for the year already. So out right there, I mean, you're going to get a bump and not a great matchup, but keep in mind, a lot of these guys, Mike Conley is going to be doubtful, and he's going to be out. A lot of these guys who are the good defenders, Marc Gasol shipped out of Memphis. they're not there for Memphis anymore. Yeah, Joe Valanciunas is great, but that's not somebody that the point guards and Tyus Jones are going to go up against and things like that. So Tyus Jones is going to get a big bump. Andrew Wiggins as well with all these guys out. Phoenix, Tyler Johnson is questionable. I currently have him out in the projections. Josh Jackson left the last game. He is also questionable. I currently have him out in the projections. McCall Bridges gets a bump for Josh Jackson being out. They were already playing alongside each other, but Bridges now should be locked in around 35 minutes. This team is hurting. If Tyler Johnson is still out, $8,800 Devin Booker becomes very interesting because who else in this team is going to score? Kelly Oubre's gone. Josh Jackson is now gone. It's tough to find points. Just turn the volume off. Jimmer Fredette is there, and he's probable. I really want to know what the run Jimmer Fredette will get today. I mean, I don't think it's anything, at least the first day, considerable, but if Josh Jackson is out and Tyler Johnson remains out, who else do they have here? Like, let's look at the depth chart. I'm on Fanduel here, but I'm going to go over to Draftkings, the better site, in my opinion, by far. But I was just getting the projections ready for Fanduel, so let's go over here and let's see what this Phoenix depth chart looks like, because I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the Phoenix depth chart looks like when 6 of their guys are hurt or on IR. TJ Warren also remains out. So the guard position, okay, we have DeAnthony Melton, so he should pick up some more time, especially, but we've been seeing that at the low 20s range. I guess Jamal Crawford will pick up time as he's been getting mid-minutes. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen if Josh Jackson's out here. Josh Jackson's been starting at the 3. In terms of small forwards that they have Bridges. And then everybody's hurt. Josh Jackson will be hurt. Oubre's out. TJ Warren out. George King, I don't expect to do anything. So it's going to be all Bridges there. In terms of power forward, yeah, they could run a little bit bigger here. It depends on if Rashawn Holmes is back. He seems to be fine. Dragon Bender has been getting big minutes, but he's very unproductive when Ayton's out there. He's just not as much of a rebounder. He doesn't do as well from the 4 as he does the 5. Shooting guards, yeah, there's not much. So I guess maybe you're going to have to kind of... is he even on here yet? Yeah, Jimmer Fredette's there. Cool. So maybe you get... Jimmer's going to get some time at point, but nothing considerate with the Melton there. So, I mean, I guess Jamal Crawford and McCall Bridges, if Josh Jackson's out, that's just pretty deep that you're having to go right now. TJ Warren, we said, is out. We touched on the Boston guys. Steph Curry is out, and this is big because the backup point guard in Sean Livingston is also out. So you're going to get Quinn Cook here, and I have him right now in for 30 minutes in my projections. Maybe that's a minute or two too high, but who else is going to get the point guard minutes? Clay can handle some of them, but Steph was seeing 35 minutes a game. I think Clay might take 2 of those minutes. So, yeah, I don't really know who else is going to be getting those minutes out there. I imagine it's Quinn Cook, the only other point guard on the roster, at the minimum price of $3,000. Mike Conley, doubtful again. Or no, he's ruled out already for soreness. We saw Tyler Dorsey go for like 15 or 16x. He was phenomenal, and now his price only goes up to $3,400. Sure, I know that DraftKings released the pricing probably before all this was done. Otherwise, he should be probably a 4K player. So, it's just a day right now where it's pretty obvious what you do here. Tyler Dorsey, even again with Tyler Dorsey against Minnesota, which is a decent matchup for him, is fine. Like yesterday, he had not a great matchup against Orlando in a pace down spot, and he went off. Depends on Joakim Noah if he's back in terms of Joval today, but you got Quinn Cook, you got Tyler Dorsey, 3,400 or below. I don't even know why you entertain the fact of Shaq Harrison. You also have DeLon Wright, who's 5,200, but way more productive than Shaq Harrison. It just seems pretty straightforward if Quinn Cook's going to get the start. Him and Shaq Harrison at 3,000 or below, 3,400 or below, you can just fit in then whoever you want. So it becomes very interesting to how to differentiate on this slate. Harry Giles is questionable against Phoenix, and this is big because if he's out, I would expect Willie Cauley-Stein, even with Marvin Bagley back, because Bagley is going to be getting a lot of minutes at the 4, to see 30 minutes or around there. Giles has been getting close to 20 a game, cutting into Willie Cauley-Stein, keeping him around 27, 28. So I do like Cauley-Stein, especially if Giles is out. Justice Winslow is questionable today, and so is, I put Rashawn Holmes. I don't see an injury report, but he's been out. Winslow questionable. It just gets split up all around, right? Goran Dragic's had a big game, but he's been at 22 minutes. Dwayne Wade had a couple of high-minute games, but the last game he was at 25. Dion Waiters has now gone back-to-back games with 30+, so that's definitely notable, especially against Washington, where they can have their way. So that's the injury report. Look, there's a lot of things to keep an eye on today, right? I mean, all of Chicago right now, Zach LaVine, questionable. Otto Porter probably out. Chris Dunn questionable. If all those guys end up being out, or even if LaVine is just out, Lauri Markkanen at 6,900 becomes phenomenal today once again. Keep an eye on Phoenix. If Tyler Johnson and Josh Jackson are out, they have no depth there. They have no reasonable depth. It's going to be Devin Booker, Ayton, and McCall Bridges doing all of the work. Maybe we see a Jimmer Fredette sighting. And then Steph Curry and Conley out. It opens up an insane value with Tyler Dorsey and Quinn Cook today. So that's all for the injury news. Let's go over to the target offense sheet. I'd just like to say, if you're still watching, hit me up with a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Check out the Patreon page if you're interested in just donating to the channel. It doesn't have to be just for the projections. If you already have a projection site you like, you could also make a pledge there. If you do like my content, you could donate. It helps me out a ton. There's a donation link down below. Target offense sheet, the sheet that everybody loves. It's in the Discord, so if you're not in there, get it. If you want to get another look at it and don't want to pause the video, you can kind of have it as a document. So the target offense sheet here, I believe the only teams on back-to-backs, and I could be wrong, I didn't look at the sheet once again, I'm trying to go off memory, is Miami and is Memphis. That seems like all of it. I'm looking down the list real quick. Dallas, Portland. I believe that's all of it. So lots of big players on this list. Golden State's obviously on it, or on the slate. Golden State's on it, all of the guys in Philly. So let's just hop right down into it. Highest paced game on the entire slate, and it's by a decent margin. And anytime you go over 105, I'm interested. Anytime you approach 108, I'm interested. This Atlanta-Philly game, the second game here, you can see pace 107.85 between these two today. That's pretty impressive. The total 235.5. That's impressive. Significantly more than any other game on the slate by 4.5. And then you just look at it. You know that you attack Atlanta with the guards. So for Philly, $8,300 Ben Simmons becomes very interesting. 52.79. The best matchup on the entire slate by a wide margin. It's hard not to like that, especially when you can get up there, and he's small forward eligible, I believe, so you can put him really anywhere in your lineup. You can still get to these value guards. JJ Redick, interesting. Not really sure I like him much. Jimmy Butler, very interesting. Do like him a lot. Has a very nice individual matchup. The best matchup for the small forward on the slate. Atlanta's giving up 43.98 fantasy points over the last 30 days to that position. By far the most on the slate and the most in the league, actually. So they've gotten the price right, or at least a little bit better. 10-7 now in Joel Embiid. He's not floating around 10K. He's been absolutely dominant. And look, Atlanta's actually decent at rebounding, but this pace just is going to create way more rebounds. I'd be shocked if Joel Embiid doesn't get 15 rebounds in this game, right? And then you have to imagine he gets 20 points. It's just a matter of, do you want to pay up for Joel Embiid? Do you want to pay up for Cat? Do you want to pay up for a mixture of a Luka and a Ben Simmons, and whoever else you can fit? Maybe a Damian Lillard, who's been balling out without CJ McCollum. So there's a lot of things to consider. I love Ben Simmons here. I like Jimmy Butler. Those are the two main things on Philadelphia's side. Very much love Ben Simmons. And then on the Atlanta side of the ball, there's not much. I'm not looking into Trae Young. He could be a very contrarian play, but I don't think the upside's there on this slate. In terms of guards, I think the pay down super value is there. Delon Wright in the mid-range. You got Ben Simmons. You get Damian Lillard at the high range. I'm not going to get to Trae Young, especially when he's going up against Ben Simmons, who can pretty much bully him today. A couple other games, another really high-paced game today, 106.55. Phoenix and Sacramento. These teams have played recently, I believe. You attack Phoenix with the bigs, and we know that. The total is 231, so another nice game to target. Attacking Phoenix with the bigs, if Harry Giles is out, I already like Marvin Bagley, even though his price came up to, I think, 6,300. I'm still fine playing him. The guy's a stud. At 28 minutes, he drops almost 50 points. He's going to do that again against Phoenix. Look, and saying he's going to do that again is a bit excessive, but he could very well do that again. And I like Willie Cauley-Stein if we get the word that Harry Giles is out. And I can lock in Willie Cauley-Stein for 30 minutes. I can lock in Marvin Bagley at that point for close to 30 minutes against this Phoenix team. In a game that right now Sacramento's favored by 10 because Phoenix is depleted. But I'm not too concerned about that because I think that if Harry Giles is out, even if he's not, Marvin Bagley can get there in 26 minutes like we've seen, 28 minutes, even if this game does blow out. Really, everybody on Sacramento is interesting. Marvin Bagley, Willie Cauley-Stein. Some interest in De'Aaron Fox, but again, the same exact thing. The guard position at the low end is probably where I'm going to target early on. And then I'm going to try and get to the high end in the Lukas, the Damian Lillards, and the Ben Simmons with that second and third spot since we get shooting guard eligible Luka now and small forward eligible Ben Simmons. Phoenix side of the ball, look, McCall Bridges is interesting if Josh Jackson is out. He's not a very great point per minute producer, but if this guy's going to be locked in now for 36 minutes, it's something to look at 5K. $8,800 Devin Booker is another guy that I'll be looking to pay up for, depending on if the price is right and the spot is right. High pace game, high total game, implied team total. The implied team total of 110.5 is fine for me. This is definitely a 60-burger potential spot for Devin Booker today, and I would like to see myself at least on it. Another game that we could look at is Memphis and Minnesota. And look, Tyler Dorsey, $3,000 yesterday. Now he's $3,400. Absolutely ridiculous that his price doesn't go up. I get it. The prices came out before he went explosion yesterday. played, like, including overtime, like, what did he play? Like 41 minutes, even if he doesn't play overtime, or 42, he's getting 36. I have right now in my projections 36 minutes at 3,400 for a guy who just went off in an offense, and he gets maybe a better matchup now. Yeah, I like Tyler Dorsey. I don't know how he's not 100% in everybody whose lineups who's playing tonight. I know how he's not, because if you want to be contrarian, he gets injured, he just lays an egg, then you're going to be in a very good position. But I think that I'm completely fine locking him in my main lineup for cash and probably my tournament lineups. Delon Wright has a very good matchup today as well, going up against Josh Okogie. And let's just get this straight. Josh Okogie, for the people that played him last game because he was seeing 30 minutes and 30 fantasy points in back-to-back games, that's recency bias. You have to, like, realize that that's what your brain is doing. You're saying, oh, he played 30 minutes because these guys were injured. Look at, like, his stats every other game those guys were injured. That wasn't the first time. Rose and Teague have been out maybe 20 to 30 other times together this year. That's a lot. And those were his 2 best games back-to-back. You don't think that that's going to regress? You think that he just suddenly found something? Josh Okogie's not a good player. He went for 20 fantasy points and then 30-plus minutes. So I don't think he's a great player. I don't think you should be playing him here, especially against Delon Wright, which isn't a great matchup for him. So I like Delon Wright. I love Tyler Dorsey. I think Chandler Parsons, who I played yesterday at 3,400, has his price come up. I played Chandler Parsons everywhere yesterday, and he goes for 30 points. Too bad I didn't have any JaVale McGee, which crushed me. 3,700. Now he's still cheap. You could still get him at 3,700 and build a pretty nice lineup paying up. He's been getting 25-plus minutes, and he's been knocking down his shot, Chandler Parsons. He's looked good. Joe Val, obviously interesting to me. Joe Val versus Cat today. It scares me for both of them. Joe Val shut down Vooch yesterday. Vooch couldn't even handle, and Vooch is a very good defender, Joe Val. In terms of Towns, he's a pretty good defender, and I think that Towns against Joe Val is something that scares me for both of them. I think Joe Val gets an edge if Noah's out, because he'll have to pretty much play 35 minutes again. Keep in mind these guys are on a back-to-back, so something can change, but there's no depth here, so I'm not too worried about it. Towns, yeah, 10-5, not as interesting to me now. That's pretty much it. On the Minnesota side of the ball, Tyus Jones becomes interesting as price drops, and maybe Andrew Wiggins a little bit is interesting. Towns I'm not too interested in. I'm interested in paying up at guard today, and then I'll see where else I can go. We'll quickly touch on another game here. Let's touch on... what should we touch on? Let's touch on Chicago and Utah. Chicago and Utah, look, there's a lot of injuries here. I'm not interested in Shaq Harrison today, blah. I'm interested in Lauri Markkanen a lot. Look, best matchup actually on this slate against Utah. They give up a lot of fantasy points. Rudy Gobert in his own right might be a very good defender, but they give up a lot of fantasy points. Rudy Gobert against Robin Lopez, I like that a lot. On the other side, it was nice to see Ricky Rubio's minutes come up a little bit. He has a nice matchup if Chris Dunn is out. So on the Utah side of the ball, I'm going to like Rudy Gobert today and a little bit of Ricky Rubio potentially. Outside of that, not really going to be chasing the either Jay Crowder today or the points with Derek Favors. Chicago side of the ball, it's going to depend on what the injuries do. If we get news that Chris Dunn is out, Ryan Archie-Nakano becomes a nice play. If we get news that all of them are out, Lauri Markkanen becomes a 60-burger in his last game, an incredible day, or an incredible play. Going to Golden State and Dallas quickly. Golden State, Dallas, yeah, I like Quinn Cook. $3,000 if he's going to start. Even if he only plays 25 minutes, $3,000 at that minutes. He doesn't have to do a lot for him not to fail for you. Outside of that on Golden State, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Boogie Cousins all get bumps. I like Klay Thompson because he's going to see his shots go up, but the usage for these other guys with 30% usage, Curry out for rest is going to be a lot. So I like all of them. It's going to be interesting to see how they slide into my lineups. None of them really priorities for me outside of maybe a Quinn Cook, which is very interesting. Dallas side, Luka's always interesting, especially since Steph's out. They're probably going to throw Klay Thompson on him. I'd imagine they don't keep Quinn Cook on him, who in his own right is a decent defender. Not a lot of interest in Luka, though. What is his price at? Is it still below 9K, or have they finally realized that he should be priced higher? 8,600. I have interest in Luka. I changed my mind. He is cheap. I can get him and another 2 studs because he's that cheap. He's not 9K. Portland and Detroit. I think we're going to cover all these games pretty much. Portland and Detroit. The Portland side, not a great matchup by any means for Damian Lillard, but he's pretty much matchup proof at this point. His price has... Holy shit. Wow. Haven't looked at the prices. Damian Lillard is 10-1. As he should be because CJ McCollum is out. $10,100 for Damian Lillard. Can we take a moment? Wow. I had not seen this yet. I haven't looked at the prices. I was just putting together projections. Holy shit. Third most expensive player on the slate. Damian Lillard is $1,500 more than Luka today. He's $800 more than Beal today. Drummond's finally 9K, so that's something nice to look at. Wow. He is 1,800 more than Ben Simmons. Look, he deserves it. He's probably going to drop 50-plus points tonight because there's no C.J. McCollum. This game is the slowest, or pretty much the slowest, second slowest pace on the slate. Has the second lowest total by a point. So it's not an attractive game by any means. The Detroit defense is actually a nice defensive team. They play slower. That price point, I'm going to probably shy away from it, honestly, at first look. Detroit side of the ball, I'd love to play Reggie Jackson here, 5,100, but his minutes are just a little bit shaky. And 9K Andre Drummond is still too cheap in my opinion. He's pretty much locked in to go for 40+, probably 45+. So I like Andre Drummond. I think that Reggie Jackson's an interesting play. The Portland side of the ball, I have pause with Damian Lillard. I don't really want to touch it. And that's pretty much it. So that was a little bit all over the place, but we're just talking here. So let's go over to early interests. Early interests, I don't have Damian Lillard on them, and I probably wouldn't have him on them at 10-1. Tyler Dorsey, DeLon Wright in Memphis. If Joakim Noah's out, Joe Val. Pretty much a repeat of yesterday, which I don't like the point chase, but they have no depth. They have nobody to take the... With no Mike Conley out there, no Avery Bradley, nobody's going to be taking away the shots from Tyler Dorsey and DeLon Wright. It's just that simple. Nobody. Lauri Markkanen's price comes down after having a 50-plus burger, 55+. And if we get Zach LaVine out again, I think he's a very nice play today against Utah. Shaq Harrison, interest to me, but here's the thing. I have early interest in terms of them making me think. I don't want to play Shaq Harrison today. 4,100, the price is up, and you have Tyler Dorsey at 3,400, who is maybe the biggest lock of the entire season. You have Quinn Cook at $3,000, who, if he starts, is a better play, in my opinion, based on price, and probably because he's a point guard over Shaq Harrison, taking over the 2 or the 3. If we get Chris Dunn in, yeah, I just like Quinn Cook there a lot more. I like Tyler Dorsey. If we get Chris Dunn out and Shaq Harrison's going to start at the point, and LaVine's out, and Porter seems doubtful, or is doubtful, then Shaq Harrison becomes a little bit more interesting. Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Cousins, all of them are interesting when a guy like Curry, who's 30% usage, is going to take 15+ shots, 20 shots, is out of the game. Kelly Olynyk has a very nice individual matchup against Washington. Best matchup at the power forward spot, 5,400. Minutes have been, for the most part, up. Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, the guys I'm interested in against this awful, awful Atlanta team in the highest pace, highest total game on the slate. Look, you could also get Joel Embiid. You're going to be able to pay up for him. I like all of them today. Willie Cauley-Stein, Marvin Bagley from Sacramento in that pace-up spot. Well, pace-up spot more so for Phoenix, but a high-paced, decent total game, higher total, second total, 231. I do like Willie Cauley-Stein a lot at that price of 5,700 if Bagley's out, and 6,300 or if we get Harry Giles out, and Bagley being only 6,300 is way too cheap in my opinion. Devin Booker, 8,800 seems a little bit steep, but the fact that he's $1,300 in Damian Lillard makes a lot of sense to me, especially if Josh Jackson and Tyler Johnson remain out. McCall Bridges, if those same two guys are out, for sure. So I have to look over this Damian Lillard. I think that price is going to take a lot of people off of him, and this is me. This is just hip fire reaction. He's so expensive, right? You can get Luka and Ben Simmons, or you can get Damian Lillard and probably a guy who's a little bit cheaper. It's scary to me. I haven't done lineup construction. 10-1 is scary. Like, he has to go for a 55-60 burger. In a tournament, he has to go for a 60 burger for you to really feel it, right? So, or to really pay off on a 7-game slate. So I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. We'll see what the ownership looks like. He's in a phenomenal spot with no McCollum. His points per minute are like 1.55 without McCollum. So I'm going to have to look into that more. Maybe I'll come back later for an updated video for the Patreon people. Patreon people, I'm going to be doing more like live before locks just specifically for you guys. And they'll be like 10 minutes just answering questions because I can't stay on a lot of the time. But the schedule for next week's live streams for before lock, maybe 2 or 3, is going to come out on Sunday. It's going to be on Twitter, so keep an eye on that. Again, first time here, hit me with a like button. Let me know down below if you watched the entire video. I greatly appreciate that. Hop in the Discord if you're not there already. Check out Patreon. There's a link below. You can get my projections. You can donate to me down below as well if you think that what I'm doing here is helping you and you want to just return the favor, or not even return the favor, but if you just want to show some support. So thank you guys so much. Greatly appreciate it. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.